Morning and welcome to Saxo Bank Market Call. Today is February the 14th. Yesterday's news bullets, big surprise out of Sweden as Riksbank hiked interest rates by 25 basis points to 4.25. As big news, as the big theme at the moment is cutting rates, and thus the Swedish Riksbank is opposing this and targeting inflation severely by hiking rates. Other than that, in the UK, we had ILO unemployment rate out a tad lower than expected at 5.2% versus 5.3% expected. In Eurozone, we had industrial production from December out month on month at somewhat better than expected, but still a negative figure at minus 0.2%. It was a minus 0.5% expected. But the big story yesterday was out of U.S. retail sales, out a lot higher than expected. Out 0.3%, expected was a minus 0.4%, so that's a big surprise to the upside. Other than that, we had crude inventories. A build was expected, and we had a build, but not as big as expected, out at 1,066 versus 2,374,000. Other than that, overnight in Japan we had very good figures as well, where we had GDP annualized out at 3.7%. It was only 1.7% expected, so very positive figure out of Japan as well. All these positive figures caused a bit of pickup in risk willingness, and we see Euro and US dollar trade weighted index consolidating. However, all the yen crosses, the yen is hurting a bit on this risk willingness. Aussie dollar could break higher. It's looking set to break. Stocks in Europe, until the retail sales was a quite boring session, but the US retail sales caused at least European markets to rebound and go higher. This followed through in the US session, where we saw some positive gains, and also in the Asian session overnight we saw Nikkei up by 4.27%. It's the biggest gain in quite some time. This was also boosted by the positive figures out of Japan. Fixed incomes, bonds is looking really weak. However, treasuries is holding up a bit. Bonds is hurting a bit on these on the rebounding equity markets. However, the treasury market is still looking for an indication of further Fed rate cuts. And commodities is generally looking good. Uptrend again starting to establish in silver and gold. Crude consolidating and $93 a barrel. What's going on? As numbers of subprime related losses are swelling, UBS has posted its biggest loss ever at $11.3 billion for the fourth quarter of 2007. Total subprime mortgage connections to write-downs by financial amount to $145 billion, but are estimated by G7 to rise to as high as $400 billion. As I said, Asian stocks were buoyed by Japanese GDP figures showing quickest growth in the 3 quarters. Banks and technology shares were amongst the biggest advances as Nikkei rallied over 4% for overnight. Crude prices are holding major support lines and are above $93 a barrel. This despite a sharp cut in forecast for demand in the year of 2008 by IEA oil market report. Aussie dollar is probably the most interesting currency right now, with a breakout potential in Aussie yen at 98.4 and Aussie dollar at 0.98. Today's calendar, not much for this morning. We have Eurozone GDP at 10 GMT. Other than that, not much, but at 13:30 in the US we have trade balance and initial jobless claims and continuing claims. Later today at 1500 GMT we have Bernanke and Paulson speaking on general economic outlook. Next coming days, or tomorrow, we have out of Canada new motor vehicle sales and manufacturing shipments. Also, we have US zone trade balance also tomorrow. And out of the US, we have net tech flows and industrial production. Also, tomorrow we have BOJ rate decision expected to keep rates on hold at 0.5%. FX trade of today. Carry trades enjoyed a positive momentum on back of the rally in equities, and we still favor commodity-related currencies. CAD yen looks attractive. We want to buy half a position at the break of 108.81, targeting 110. Stop offer at 108.30. We'll trail the stop at a clear break of a 55-day smooth moving average at 109.05. Equity trade of today is breakout play in Adidas, the German retailer, sports retailer. This company has enjoyed or endured a longer-term downtrend, but is now starting to post a modest uptrend. And a break of 43.80 should be a confirmation that this new uptrend is at least for some short term is set to continue. Actually, very close to breaking this this morning, 43.80. We placed an order to buy if bid at 43.85, setting up a target at 45 with a stop at 43 even. Futures trade of today is Bunds. Bunds is holding up a bit, well, it has resistance at 116.95, but the trend is bearish. We want to sell Bunds at 116.20 or 40, stop above 116.50, targeting 115.50. That's all for today. Thank you for listening.